Hello, my friend. Ahmed here from Voice of the Entrepreneur, and today I want to talk to you about something that is close to my heart, and I'm sure it is close to your heart as well, and that is the topic of happiness. You know, happiness is something that we all live for. Perhaps it's the only thing that we live for and we want in our lives. But yet, happiness is something that eludes us. And I wanted to know why. Why is it that happiness is something that is elusive to so many people? Or at least we can get glimpses of happiness but never keep it in our lives for constant. So I was curious. I wanted to ask the question about what is it about happiness that does elude us, and why is it that we can't create it the way that we want? So I did some research. I went out there and I started looking. And what I found was very interesting. And what it is that research is showing that our happiness is directly correlated to the expectation of the results that we have, and not the results themselves. Interesting, right? What does that mean? That means that what we expect reality to be determines our happiness more than how reality really is. That means that we go around thinking that everything should be perfect, or it should be the way that we want it to be. And then when it doesn't turn out to be that way, that's when we suffer from not having enough happiness. That's when that's when happiness eludes us, when we expect something to be better than it's not. And research is also showing that with time, as your expectation grows, your happiness level declines. And the reality is, the truth is, that as time progresses, the higher your expectation levels, the less reality can match your expectations, and the less happiness you can have in your life. Now that is something really interesting. And to some level, it seems almost intuitive that we live in a world where we have these high expectations and we expect things to be a certain way. And when they don't turn out to be that way, then we find ourselves in a place of unhappiness and we want the next thing, or, the better car, the better house. We expect to have something by a certain age. If you're a young professional, a business person, whoever, you want to have that certain material good or a certain status in life by a certain period of time. And when you don't get it, or even when you achieve something, your expectations are usually higher than what it is in reality. And that's when happiness eludes us. So what is it about expectations? Where does expectation come from? So expectation, I believe there are three ways that expectations can be created. One is the environment that you live in, everything around you, the community, everything else. Second is imagination. Imagination about how you want the world to look like. Imagination about what you perceive things to be like. Your house, your wife, your husband, your kids. There's a certain level of imagination that plays into what you expect things to be like. And the third one is your shared experience, or your past. Your past determines a lot of the expectations that you have of the future. Whatever you've done in the past, and if you've had a certain result, negative or positive, then your expectation around that is what's going to create, the expectation is going to derive the happiness that you feel when you are getting that result. So those are the three main things. Now I want to look at the environmental aspect of it a little bit more closely, because I believe everything else outside of you cannot be changed. The only thing that can be changed is inside. So the environment that's outside of you, the place that you live in, the community, the online community. I think today we live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with things that are creating very high, unrealistic expectations about how we see the world and how we're supposed to see the world. And I think marketers have figured this out a long time ago, that if they can make you unhappy, then they can sell you stuff. And how do you make somebody unhappy? Is you keep them always a step behind their expectation. And really, I think that's one of the things. You look at things like Facebook, social media. People put the stuff that is the best about them. And then others see that and believe that we all supposed to live in a life like that. And that is false expectation that derives our unhappiness about whatever our reality is. So to keep this short, I want to, talk about, okay, so expectations is the reasons why we feel unhappy. Now, what can be done about expectations? How can we reverse these expectations and think about improving ourselves and creating more happiness in our lives? Well, like I was saying, there's nothing really that you can do outside of yourself. You can't change the environment. You can't change anything outside of you. But what you can do, And what you can do very powerfully is change who you are inside. And I believe changing expectations or lowering expectations is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself to become more happy. How do you change expectations? Well, one of the things that I've seen in my life that has really helped me is traveling. Going out there and meeting people around the world that have a lot less than you do and that are not bombarded with all these levels of, materialism that we are here in the West, is a great way of seeing how people live with less expectation. And when we see others live with less expectation, then somehow, automatically, our expectations of the world also start lowering. If you can't do that, if you can't go out and travel, I think the next best thing would be to make a friend from one of these places, find a Facebook pal or somebody like that and just start having a conversation with them and creating a friendship and see how they live without expectation and how they see the world in a different way than we do. And that will also help, because sometimes when it is about perspective, a positive perspective helps just as much or influences you just as much as a negative one, maybe even more. The other thing that you can do, and that's a very simple one, is plug out. Plug out of all the social media traffic and, the Facebook feeds and the Twitter feeds and all kinds of feeds that are out there that constantly bring out only the best around the world and maybe in so many of the cases not even real. Those things really raise our expectation as to how reality really is. And the truth is, reality is not what it is out there on social media. Reality is a lot different. And we feel the pain when we see the reality or the pseudo-reality on social media and we see our own reality not matching up. And that's when we feel sad and, unhappy about how our lives really is. So my friend, I think to create happiness, it is not about chasing that perpetual dollar or chasing that certain lifestyle or creating, material wealth in your life or creating anything that you believe will bring you happiness. But it is really about lowering your expectations about how you see the world is. And I'm not saying that you go and lower your expectations of yourself. I really believe in being the best that you possibly can be. But having realistic expectations about what we can achieve, how we can achieve it, and in the time frame that we can. And once we start doing that, I think happiness has no other choice but to start seeping into our lives. I hope you found value in this video, my friend. If you liked it, please go comment, tell me about your expectations and how you're taking actions to lower it, and subscribe to our channel, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.